Hi guys, this is part 2, and Bob's camera basically died right at the moment he was going to reveal the whole point. We got to the crescendo of the little conversation we're having about the patriarchy and ayahuasca. Look, I've given it a title. We can change the title if you want later, but basically, Bob, let's continue with our conversation. If you haven't watched it, go and watch part 1 first, and please subscribe to my channel, because my last channel got taken down quite a lot of years ago, and I keep getting taken off Facebook. So I'm just doing the BitChute. I can't bother to keep needing to upload to BitChute, but anyway, here we are on YouTube. Bob, over to you. Where were we?
Where were we? We were, okay, let's just try and get my head. Yeah. We were, I'm going to actually just bring in, maybe that got stopped because we were in a certain energy that was maybe not quite in the heart enough.
Okay.
So actually, I'd like to invite all of us, including me, including you, including everyone watching this, just to drop into the heart right now, because this, if all this stuff comes from the head, it's just more head shit, isn't it?
Yeah.
Whereas if it's from the heart, it's just a bit more fun, isn't it? So thank you, universe, for cutting that off, whatever reason. I'll carry on, but a bit more in the heart and a bit less in like fierce judgment mode. So my experience was that in the ceremonies that I've been to recently, was that the space holders are still running ceremonies in a patriarchal fashion, i.e. they're in charge, they're at the top, you know, and everyone else is kind of like almost the slaves, you know. And my experience of being in these 3 ceremonies recently that I just literally stood up in the middle of and walked out of, like left, was that basically the shamans or the space holders were basically playing a patriarchal role, and the energy was exactly the same in a conscious ceremony as really the energy that we're living in society, which is the governments are in charge and we're all the slaves and we have to do what they say. It's the same flipping energetic dynamic going on in plant medicine ceremonies, which is, for me, as somebody that's really waking up, doesn't cut it. It doesn't resonate. I can't sit in a ceremony and be part of that dynamic.
Can you give, I love what you're sharing, and I feel it very much from your heart. There may be judgment that your ego is at play, but I hear this incredible underlying this kind of rage is grief for humanity, resides beyond all of this, that all of us who are speaking out is a massive grief for where things have arrived to at this time as we go through this transformative evolutionary process. So what part of it felt like the participants of the ceremony were slaves? Can you just let me know how that looked?
I think when we feel an energy that's not right, whether it's in a ceremony or whether it's anywhere in life, and let's face it, we're all encountering a lot of these situations day to day these days, because it's
bombarding.
It's all coming up, and don't even get me started. But like, we're living in the time of transition. All the old patriarchal ways suddenly are not working. Anyway, don't get me started. Question. Focus. Saving. I think, all we need to do in these times, when we feel energies that aren't right, we just have to stand up and call them out. And that is enough to shift them. That's all it takes. But if we stay small and we don't call them out, then they don't shift. And therefore, then the same old crap gets played out. And that includes inner plant medicine ceremonies, which is the same. This is, I think, why we're here today, is we're naming that something in the plant medicine community and in the ceremonies is being called to shift a certain energy, where basically the shaman is like the king and everyone else is the sheep and the slaves. We're all feeling this. It's
I've done a ceremony with one person who took the ceremony. So I was on my own when I did it, and I had a dreadful experience. I just shared that at the end of the last video when you disappeared. But within a ceremony, and we used to run ceremonies, believe it or not, in this studio with one of my lodgers and her partner, I always got the impression they were very sort of beautiful experiences. My question would have been, are these people really qualified to do what they're doing? But what you're saying is slightly different. You're saying that whether they're highly spiritual or whether they're true shaman and have done years of practice and from the tradition, you know, are you still saying that regardless of how good they are at it, there is still an element of, here I am and there you are, and you're suggesting that they are slaves within a ceremony at some level? How does that, just trying to understand.
I think fundamentally this comes down to really deep energy in all of us humans, which is healing right now on the whole planet, which is king and slave. We have all been conditioned for thousands of years to be slaves and therefore controlled by the kings. And that is inherently in us. And so we are then taking that into ceremonies and it's playing out.
Yeah, I
don't know about any of you guys watching this who are on this plant medicine path, whether you're also experiencing what I'm experiencing, of like what I've been experiencing sitting in these ceremonies is like, I'm fucking bigger than this and I can't stay as a slave anymore. And so that's the part of me that stood up in the middle of the ceremony physically and gone, this is not okay. I can't do this. And I don't think that you should either, to the rest of the parents, the rest of the participants.
Wow.
Unfortunately, for whatever reason, some people are still quite happy to keep playing the slave game. But I think increasing amounts of us on planet Earth these days are feeling more and more of a fucking lion roar inside us that's like, I don't want to be a goddamn slave anymore. And the irony is, and this is coming up left, right, and center on social media right now, it's very interesting. A lot of people are naming that this same dynamic is playing out in the spiritual conscious scene.
Yeah.
And it's really good that it's being named, because we're seeing a problem in that if we are playing the same patriarchal top-down game in a conscious scene as a whole, we're not actually evolving. We're actually just playing the same old shit, and therefore we're not really going anywhere.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
you know what I mean?
I do. It really is playing out right now, isn't it?
Yeah. And
and what do you think, Bob? What do you think about the idea that it's a really hard one as I'm sort of sitting with this right now, because like everybody needs to sort of evolve in their own time, and some people need more lessons in certain departments or areas than others, and people like you and me are kind of trailblazers, and we're out there sort of saying it as it is. And yet sometimes people who are not ready for that level of light, because at the end of the day, that amount of light can actually shun people away, and they will begin to project on us because they can't handle The light.
Totally. Yeah, that's been happening to me constantly the last year. Like, I'm
so
calling
they're
shit
not
out.
ready, so they're projecting, and you all their shit on you. And maybe at some level we have to let them stay where they are and evolve at their own pace. I'm just putting that out there. And that's why I feel very much like, just even connecting with you, is that people are finding their new tribes, and that the old spiritual communities are changing and shifting, and people are no longer willing to listen to bullshit. Some of us are calling it out. I was teaching yoga. This is going back, it must be 10 years, at least 10 years ago. I was teaching yoga in La Gomera, it was a German run, beautiful retreat center, beautiful place. And there were quite a few naturists there, but there was this one guy, and he was offering massages to all the, there were lots of Brits there and people from all over Europe. And he was sort of virtually naked. I think he might have got pants on, but he was getting the women to go in and take their clothes off. And when it came to me, I felt very, very uneasy with him. And when I came out of that massage, I think I kept my underwear, my knickers on. But when I came out, I was so shocked at how many women felt uncomfortable but didn't say anything. I couldn't believe it. And I've had that in the Tantra world as well, that women in particular will go along with something because they think it's cool, or they're trying to be hip, and they're actually really uncomfortable. And that's what I'm uncomfortable. One of the things I'm uncomfortable, but because a lot of people, women especially, don't get me started on yoga training in Koh Phangan either. The abuse that's happened there on the yoga teacher training, unbelievable. But there seems to be this thing, I don't know why, with sort of spiritual girls, women, that they go along with it because they're frightened to speak out. They haven't had a voice before. And now the likes of you and I and other people are speaking out, but not everybody is, as I said, ready for that level of transparency, maybe. I don't know. We are needed. We may not be popular, but we're needed.
Yeah, damn right. I've lost a lot of friends over the last 2 years. Wow. But I don't give a shit. I think truth is truth, and like, we're all striving for truth.
Yeah,
of course.
And transparency, because transparency is vulnerable, and it is coming from the heart. And sometimes that fierce heart it's not ego. It's because we are grieving for the life we know we deserve and that we came here for. It's our fundamental basic human right to live in joy. And we are very, very aware that that is not what is happening on our planet right now.
Yeah, man.
And my thing is the food chain, the big pharma. I lost my husband at 25. He was misdiagnosed. They said he had sciatica. He had cancer. I had 2 babies. I'm passionate about how much I hate big pharma. I'm passionate about healthy lifestyle, how we live, how we choose to live. Where we choose to be, how we choose to be, how we choose to exercise and move and think, and this is just another rung on the whole equation of, we have plant medicine available to us. It's been made illegal mostly. And yeah, sorry, I'm probably just ranting. Yeah.
I feel like when you say big pharma, it's triggered something for me, and that's actually something I wanted to go into in this interview gently.
Yeah.
And I feel it's also really important. It's going back to the plant medicine thing. Just to conclude, for anyone watching this who's like really into like something's going on with the whole plant medicine world that's not quite right, that they're feeling that, if that's why you're watching this, I want to just say, I want to conclude like what I feel is going on right now, just so it's really concise and clear for people. Not that I'm like like, not that I'm like a flipping guru that knows it all, but I am sharing what I feel. What I feel, there's two things that are going on that we need to be wary of in the plant medicine scene right now. Firstly, is this dynamic of which we're talking about, of like patriarchal, top-down, king-slave dynamic. I think we need to shift this, and that starts with each of us, every one of us. I think we also, so there's that. The second thing is, I think we need to be really wary of so-called shamans who are not properly trained, who have let their ego come in, and therefore they're allowing their ego to play out the top-down king.
That's a big one.
Dynamic. So what I'm saying is we need to be really careful what we put ourselves in, what situations we put our beautiful hearts and our beautiful healing selves into, because there can be abuse that comes through in these ceremonies, which does the exact opposite of what our beautiful souls are actually looking for in this time. We're looking for 100%, healing. 100%. We're looking for gentleness. We're looking to have our inner children held and supported. And what's actually playing out in many of these ceremonies is the exact opposite. And we're talking about abuse. This links into my third and final point, and this is really important. I really want you guys to get this and to hear this. From my understanding and what I'm hearing, the plant medicine world has actually been hijacked energetically. And this is also what I've been feeling. And I think it's how these abusive frequencies and energies are starting to come through in these ceremonies, is because the powers that be that run our planet, they are so powerful, man. They have even taken control of the spiritual movement, and that includes the plant medicine world. And what we're talking about is they have energetically hijacked the frequencies of the plant medicines, and they're controlling the energies.
You're not talking about like negative. Are you talking about entity attachments that come in?
I am. And this has also been my experience in my last 3 ceremonies, is that there's something very dark and quite reptilian coming through the shamans. And I've been sat in these ceremonies feeling this stuff, going, what the hell am I feeling right now? Because it does not feel good.
Wow.
And recently, my guide, who is a woman called Oracle Girl, I'm sure some of you have heard of.
I love Jacqueline. She's amazing.
She also is really saying this. She's saying very clearly and very quite loudly right now, you guys need to be really, really aware that the plant medicine world has been taken over energetically by the reptilian forces that run our planet. That they obviously are running our governments, right? Obviously too. And what I'm talking about, and this links in to the whole spiritual scene, the Tantrum movement, like what I've been hearing actually for years is that the powers that be, they're so powerful, they've got control of our planet, right?
Yeah.
But they've also, because they're so clever, they've also foreseen that many people are going to start waking up. So they're so fucking clever and so bloody powerful, they've even planned for that. This is really important.
Yeah.
And so they have energetically also got a grip over the conscious movement on this planet. And so in these times, it is so important to be really careful what we're choosing to open up to in the name of spirituality, because lots of it is dodgy and energetically corrupt. And so,
and you're talking really about the New Age movement, aren't you? You're talking about the New Age movement of, you know, like lots of people are talking about this at the moment. It's like something was really off around all these people that were training up as crystal healers and Reiki practitioners and Reiki masters, and had done no inner work. But had all the certification for all of these different New Age practices, but have never actually done any inner work.
Yeah, right.
You know, there's a lot of those people.
Yeah, man, we're talking about shadow work. We've got to do this. We've got to do the shadow work. And it's only when we've done the shadow work, like the true shadow work, that we can actually feel the unwelcome and disresonant shadows that aren't supposed to be there, that come into the spiritual scene in the tantra world, in the plant medicine world, and they get into the fields, and then they come in and they do damage. And I think that's really what
interesting. I did an interview last week with a lovely lady in America called Tanya Diamond. You'll have to watch the video actually, because we talked about trauma and tantra. She's a tantra teacher, but she teaches what I call the pure tantra, like the proper, what I would call is real tantra. So she'd be interested to listen to this as well. I forgot what I was going to say now. I was going to actually say something. Someone's calling me. Where were we? We're talking about the real. What I was going to ask you actually, Bob, just on a side note, was what are your thoughts on cannabis oil in particular?
I tried cannabis oil, CBD. Didn't work for me. It felt like it was lowering my vibration and lowering my frequency. And I used to be a massive pothead, and now I won't touch it. I won't touch marijuana because it's the same thing. Like the frequency, if I smoke a joint, my energy goes down rather than up, and I notice that my vibration lowers.
Okay.
So my mission as the being that I am is to keep my energy, my frequency as high as possible to match the frequency of the earth. And I think it's the same thing as what I was just talking about, like what was it, 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, when we all saw like suddenly like cannabis is like legal. It's like the powers that be have gone, oh, we're going to make it all legal. Do you really think they're doing it because they're suddenly like, oh yeah, let's give them all the people like cannabis like they've always wanted? Of course not. They're not like that. Everything that they do is with malintent.
Of course.
So it's linked in. They've taken over the control of the frequencies of plant medicines. That includes cannabis. So that,
let's just remind ourselves also that
scary, man.
Let's also remind ourselves, just on that topic, I was a smoker for 40 years, tobacco. And I smoked every day for 10 years after my husband died in my late 20s and my 30s. And then I didn't smoke for 10 or 20 years. And I gave up after 40 years of smoking tobacco. But I've been reintroduced to cannabis oil, beautiful homegrown with love cannabis oil. And I didn't take it to get high. I took it for medicinal purposes. But what I really forgot was how it opens me up. And there is no denying the magic. Same with the CBD oil. I actually sell my own label now, and my customers absolutely get incredible results from sleep, anxiety, pain from the CBD oil. But I think, like with everything, with all of these practices, there is a very important factor to take in, and that is, as you say, you talked about entity attachment, negative entity attachment. I think if we're working in a way with these medicines and these plants that come from a pure intention, that have not got this attachment to them, I think they are very beautiful natural God's, Mother Earth's, you know, promise to us, you know, of the nectar of life. It's, as you say, it's this vile, evil entities, the fourth dimensional, what am I talking, what's the word I'm thinking of, these awful beings. I've completely lost the word now that I'm looking for.
I think we get it. I think
it's the pure evil on the planet, and you know, it's a horror story playing out in front of our eyes at the moment. The horror story, I mean, the one I've been on this week is the transgender, and how yeah.
I'm aware.
I'm going off track.
I'm going to keep you on track. I think we should wrap it up, and I think we should wrap it up, conclude in a positive way.
Yeah.
You were hitting on something positive there.
Yeah. Well, no, I was saying that there is so much good in this world, you know.
Yeah. And can I just say, like, for all the sort of like the depth of what we've just talked about, like. Shakti just hit on something really important. Like, we use these plant medicines, including cannabis, including, I don't know about ayahuasca anymore. I wouldn't go near it anymore, but I think we can use San Pedro and these other plants. We can use them if we're aware of these issues, and if we use them with pure intent and a high consciousness, rather than just giving our power away blindly.
Yeah.
And it's the same with Tantra, man. It's the same with Tantra. If we go into these things and we just give our power away, weird things happen because we're giving our power away. It's the same with plants. If we give our power away to the spirits of the plants, weird things are going to happen. However, if we're empowered in our bodies and using them with pure intent, intelligently, consciously, then they can be an ally. But this is
spot on. Exactly.
Yeah, so it's not about labeling them all as bad, but it is about naming a problem and being aware of that issue. And once we're aware of that issue, then we can go in, and if we feel the calling to be working with plants, we can then be aware of that and then use them truly consciously. Not like this word conscious has become this like annoying hippie word now.
I know. Tell me about it.
Like, truly consciously is about being, you know, going within and meeting yourself and doing the shadow work, and then we can do things truly consciously, you know, in a high vibe.
100%. And that is it. That is the bottom line. There's nothing wrong with any of these practices. It's all about the intention, because all of these practices can be amazing. And I just wanted to finish, because I was meant to be at a biohacking weekend last weekend, but I ended up in Malta. And a friend of mine who's a naturopath in Harley Street in London, she was there, and she said that there was a doctor there, Dr. Jack Alokar, and he also mentioned that ayahuasca should not be used for people who are not experienced with psychedelics, and that they need to work with a proper shaman and be very clear and conscious of who they're working with. And I think people are starting to talk about this, as they are with everything at the moment. Everything is coming out of the shadows.
It's all coming up. Yeah, it's all coming up and out.
To be called out if it's not from the heart, as you say. So Bob, thank you so much for your time, and I'm sorry that your phone died, but hey ho, we had a little cup of tea in between and you charged your phone up, and it's been really nice to talk to you.
Thank you. Can I drop my album thing in quickly?
Of course you can.
Right.
Go for it.
I just also wanted to let anyone who's still with us, I hope there's a few people still with us, thank you for listening, bearing with the technical hitch. I also just want to say that I'm just releasing an absolutely beautiful album right now. I'm a musician and a songwriter. I'm a conscious songwriter. And I made this album, it's called Sacred. And I just would love if anyone's to go check it out. Wow. It's a really, really high vibe conscious album of like roots music. It's really upbeat, and it's all come from my spiritual path. It's called Sacred, and if you want to go check it out,
I definitely. I would love to.
check it out.
I would love to
Go
do
have
a
a
dance
listen
to it as well. It sounds wonderful. I shall go and have a listen. Yeah.
You can check it out on my website, which is bobhilary.com, and the album is there. It's called Sacred. Just go have a listen if you
I will
fancy
put a link in the comments below.
Wicked, thank you.
Nice one. All right, my lovely. Great to chat. Take care.
Lucy, eh? Yeah.
Nice one. Thanks a lot.
All right. Bye.